You ain't gonna hear. We don't even follow up with clients, Lindsay. You know what we tell our clients? You called us the first time. You're busy.
Yeah.
If you want us back, you can call me 24/7. I'll respond within 24 hours. Call me whenever you want.
Yeah.
But we don't cold call and we don't chase clients.
That's a really cool business strategy.
It's just we try to
You've been
live.
doing it long enough. Apparently, it's working.
Yeah.
I think it's the lean principle, going slow to go fast.
Welcome to Making Sparks, the podcast where we ignite your passion for metal fabrication and fuel your business success. Join industry leaders and dive deep into the world of metalworking. From business insights to tips of the trade, Making Sparks is your forge of knowledge. During each episode, discover success stories, innovative solutions, and expert interviews that light the path to business growth. Subscribe today and grow and improve your company, and let's make sparks fly together.
Welcome back to Making Sparks. I'm the co-host, Matthew Nix. My illustrious host is behind the camera today, and so I've got an upgraded co-host with me, my wife, Lindsay Nix. And we've got a couple of great guests with us today, Mac and Ria Story. So we've got a couple of husband and wife combos here for you today. Yeah. And we're coming to you live from Fabtech 2025. I'm supposed to thank our sponsors, Multipress, and they are very gracious to let us use their booth here to record today. So, Mac and Ria, thanks for being with us
thanks
today.
for being here.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a privilege to join you here in Chicago. This is an awesome event, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And you guys just got done speaking, I understand.
Yeah,
we did.
Did you speak together or separately?
We always speak together.
When he lets me talk. Yeah, we were speaking to the emerging leaders of Fabtech. So it was a really great group, about 130 like up and coming, 35-ish, leaders who are ready to up-level their leadership skills for themselves and their team. So it was really exciting.
Yeah, did you collect their cards? I want to maybe try to go hunt some of them down and see if they want a job.
We did. They seemed interested though. They are. I mean, they were. That's why they were there. And they had 3 speakers. The first one talked about profit. We talked about traits of high-impact team players. And I forget the last. They
had the session that we didn't stay for because we're here with you guys, but was on motivational interviewing. So interviewing skills to really, in a nutshell, maybe she says it differently, but choosing people for character, right? Which is what Mac and I are passionate about.
Yeah. Oh wow, we need to take that course maybe. Yeah.
I asked them an interesting question right near the end. It's like 130 people there. And I said, what you just felt and experienced with us, talking about character, leadership development, being a high-performance team player, that sort of stuff. I said, how many of you have anything like this in your organization? Because I had told them, 20 years in manufacturing for me, I never experienced 0. That's what I got.
Yeah.
0 in pennies invested in me, 0 minutes invested in me. So I said, I'm just curious, going around the room with all of you who are hungry, how many of you work in organizations got top to bottom, left to right, some kind of leadership development program that feels like what we're talking about? It was like 4 or 5 hands, literally. It may not have been 5.
Out of 100,
Out of 130.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to think we're trying to build that in our organization. And maybe we can talk about that a little bit later. But this is how I love to start podcasts, because we didn't even have to do intros yet. We just got right into it. So tell us what blue collar leadership is. Where did that come from, and what is it?
Yeah, it came from a little bit of what I just shared with you. Me spending from 1988 to 2008, I worked in manufacturing. The first 10 years, I was frontline entry-level factory worker, operating CNC lathes, mills and drills and gear shapers, working 7 days a week. Sometimes, most of the time, 12, 14, 16 hours a day, hot, nasty, dirty work, all hours of the night and days, and worked my way up, did CNC programming, drafting, cost estimation engineering, and I got into lean manufacturing, and that's where I did the last 3 years of my career. I was a lean manager and quality manager for our plant of about 200 people, and we had 70 plants around the world, about a $2 billion company. But never in those 20 years did one leader ever invest 1 penny or 1 minute introducing me to the type of stuff Ria and I talk about. And the reason I come up with the name Blue Collar Leadership, or we did, because all those folks usually not getting anybody invested in them. So when they see this, first thing I want them to know is this is for you, meaning the blue collar folks. And I've had somebody on LinkedIn one time says, why you degrade the people for calling them blue collar? Why you want to label them blue collar? So I said, well, I'm a blue collar. I'm one of them, and I I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
It's not a degrading title for me. I'm proud to be blue collar. I want everybody to know I'm blue collar. I got it on my truck. Blue collar leadership. It's not something to be ashamed of. Not if you're one of us.
Right.
Because I started asking because I was curious. Was I wrong?
Yeah.
And I started asking the crowds. I tell them that story. I said, anybody, you feel proud to be blue collar, or you feel ashamed to be blue collar? And I'd ask ashamed folks, let me hear you. And you don't ever hear
Nobody.
nothing.
Yeah.
I'm proud of it. The whole room.
Yeah.
Wakes up. So that's what drove me to want to do that. But I discovered it in 2008, leadership development, 20 years into my career by accident. And I've been reading every day since then, 17 years. And the very first lean team that I led, 2008, I started my own lean manufacturing company. And that first team that I had, I said, hey, I want to do an experiment with you guys. I got a 1 hour audio I want to share with you. It was the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, a high level overview, not the whole book, but that was what I was exposed to first. And I said, I just want to play this, and I want y'all to tell me, am I just crazy for being interested? Y'all could care less, or does it interest you as well? And we played it. Everybody someone was taking notes. It was unanimous though. Everybody liked it.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, a bigger question, should I share this with every team? Or I should just keep this to myself? They said, you need to share it with every team. And that's what I started doing. And I was reading, 2. So I had a backpack full of 6, 7, 8 books that I'd bring with me. I'd play that audio, but I'd pause it. I got where I'd pause it and talk about how I was implementing it in my life.
Yeah.
And so I started realizing that people valued hearing my story about how I was applying this stuff. So 4 years of doing that while I was leading Kaizen events, logging 11,000 hours, I decided this was the missing piece of lean, was true respect for the people, which I believe is development of the people, character development from top to bottom, left and right. Teams usually don't not perform well because of competency. It's usually character.
Right. Yeah.
So I'll just add to that a little bit. What we realized was that leadership principles are universal, and they're principles, right? They're like gravity. They always apply. But it's just like when you know what gravity is and you know how to work with gravity instead of against it, life gets better.
Yeah.
Leadership principles are the same way. And if we can take those principles and put them in simple and easy to understand terms that everybody can apply and understand to their life, right? It's not vague, it's not theoretical. It says, hey, this is how I can improve my circumstances, my company, my culture, my family. The same leadership principles that help us at work, help us at home. And those relationships close to our heart are where we want to influence people.
Yeah.
So that's what we really just focus on. We use a lot of our stories where we got it right, stories where we got it wrong.
Yeah, a lot of the wrong ones.
Yeah. We got plenty of those too.
That's the ones that people like to hear.
That's the ones that people like.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what we learn.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey guys, it's Nick from Making Chips, and I gotta tell you about our new show, Lights Out. When someone talks about being lights out, what comes to mind? For me, it's Michael Jordan, he's got the ball, the game's on the line, or it's Leo Messi taking that ball up to take a penalty in a penalty shootout. These guys are elite and they're unstoppable, and you just know they're not gonna miss. But I also think about the technology, automation, process, and most importantly, the mindset of the manufacturing leaders with the best shops in the world. Every episode will equip and inspire you to run lights out so you can sleep soundly while your shop never stops. Because we all know, if you're not making chips, you're not making money. So check out the new Lights Out podcast by Making Chips. I will see you there.
So Rita, what's your background and what led you to this today?
Well, my background is more in healthcare on the administrative side. Working my way up, I left home at a young age. I didn't have anything when I left home. Didn't have a job, didn't have any money. I had a duffel bag of clothes and that was it. Started working as a waitress at Pizza Hut and making $2.13 an hour. And it didn't take me long to realize two things. Number one, that's not what I want to do the rest of my life. Number two, the job of my dreams isn't going to come find me at Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
So I started taking classes and going to community college, and I worked my way up to a hospital organization as the director of compliance. And I learned more about leadership there because I had responsibility for making sure everyone in the organization followed the regulations, the policies, the safety, everything. But I didn't have authority over anybody. So I couldn't tell them I could tell them what to do, but that doesn't mean they do it.
Especially those doctors.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot about leadership and influence. Again, made some mistakes, got things wrong, but learned from it and grew from it. And really realizing that in our culture, in our society today, we don't really talk about how to influence people. I've got 3 degrees in management. None of my courses ever talked about how do I influence people, right? And to me, that's the sad tragedy is why aren't we teaching our kids these things? Why aren't we teaching everybody these things of leadership is influence? My life gets better when I get more influence. I get more options and opportunities. Why aren't we helping people understand that who we are as a person, our character, is what determines our success and our influence? So, sorry, I get a little wound up about that, but it's something Mac and I are passionate about.
Yeah, clearly. That's awesome. So you've been on more of like the corporate side. So how does blue collar leadership differ from what we would typically think of like traditional corporate leadership?
Oh, that's a great question.
The biggest difference is the stories, right? I got blue collar frontline stories. I don't have corporate headquarters, with the big 80 story building with the black glass windows. That ain't where I come from, right? And then, I don't wear a suit and tie, but really it's me. I'm a blue collar guy. A lot of people ask that. What's the difference between blue collar leadership? The principles, they're the same. Like gravity.
That was going to be my other question. What's the same?
Yeah,
so the principles, yeah.
Principles are the same.
Yeah, but maybe it's how you implement the principles might be a little bit different.
Yeah, the practice. We teach principles and practice. Principles are what apply anywhere. Practices only apply somewhere. Like in the manufacturing world, Toyota for so long, it was, the benchmark in lean used to be when I was back there. I hadn't did lean since 2012, but that was what we always talked about. And a lot of people that go to a Toyota plant to do the tour, they say, "Oh, that won't work here." What they see may not work there, but what produce those results underneath what you see, those are the principles. They work everywhere. They work at the doctor's office. They work mowing your lawn. They work how you clean your house. Principles of lean work everywhere. The practice, though, it's different. Depends on what you're manufacturing. Leadership, it's the same way. It's the principles. And the biggest piece, though, is the stories. I got stories of my first job. I was running a big press, and it went down in the ground. It was real tall. Not a press, it was a shearing off the side of a steering knuckle for a big 18-wheeler truck. They just took me out. My introduction to the plant was, I walked in that day, went to the front office. 5 minutes later, they handed me to whoever it was. That was my onboarding training was 0.
Yeah.
And for 2 weeks, everything that I wore to work was ruined. This machine splattering oil everywhere. It'd go up and down at 2 big shears, about 10 to 12 feet long. And when one was down, it was in what we call the pit. And in the pit, there was a big tank full of oil, cutting oil. And it just sprayed. About 2 weeks into the job, the lead man said, "Hey man, why are you ruining your clothes?" I said, "Well, they ruined, my car's ruined, my car smelled like cutting oil, everything. My underwear literally were brown every day when I'd leave from the cutting oil." He said, you can get a plastic apron back in the break room in the back for like $1.
Would have been nice if he'd have told you that earlier.
It'd be nice if he'd have give me one if he was a nice guy.
Right. Yeah.
But I got stories like that the frontline people can relate to. And when you're talking about leadership, the value of no matter who you get to do leadership, first of all, if they're not talking about character development, they're probably talking about managing people, not leading people. Because anybody who understands leadership at a high level, character is always being talked about, character-based principles. And so a lot of leaders, again, don't matter who they are, they could be phenomenal, but they may not be able to connect, especially with the blue-collar people. I always tell folks, when it comes to blue-collar people, when it comes to authenticity, they can see in the dark. It don't matter if you wear a suit. You just better be authentic and be real when you get there. Don't be trying to pretend you're somebody that you're not.
Yeah.
Or if you come in jeans and hiking boots, you still got to be real.
Yeah, I like that. They can see in the dark. I say that all the time. You say it a little more eloquently, but I'd say they can smell bullshit a mile away.
Same, they can, right? And they looking for it. Not only can they smell it, they looking for it. So when it shows up, they can see it because they're already on alert. And that's what, that's the biggest difference. What blue collar leadership is we can get past a lot of stuff, not because we're trying to manipulate, because it's authentic.
Yeah.
I can tell them the stories of bad bosses, being a bad team member. I was a bad team member. I always share, I should have been fired 100 times in my 20-year career, but I got promoted 14 times.
Yeah.
But it's because they didn't value character development. They valued productivity. And I was a top producer on every job. Even though people are having fist fights in the plant. Sometimes I remember a guy coming down the aisle with his flannel shirt just hanging off. Him and some other guy been fighting back there in the plant, but they don't get terminated. They get talked to and they get put back to work.
Yeah.
That's the world I come from. A lot of folks that speak and talk about leadership, that ain't the world they come from. They come from, executive jobs. They come from a lot of them are pastors. A lot of them are PhDs, teach at college, then they go write books and speak. There probably not a lot of people come from where I come from that are. I mean, I got to speak at Yale University. I didn't even know where that was at.
Yeah.
I heard of it like everybody else, but I didn't expect to get to speak there. I had to get on Google and find out what state is that in.
Yeah.
New Haven, Connecticut, if you don't know. They got really good pizza.
Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah. Yeah. And what you said is so true. It's valuing the person, and making sure they feel seen and heard goes so much further than, anything that, you can read in a book. And so I think that's really important what you say about building that character and seeing that in the person.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing that when we talk about that blue collar people need authenticity, right? A lot of times that's because they haven't been able to trust their leaders in the past. It's lessons learned the hard way that sometimes people are trying to manipulate me or use me. And so that's why they develop that almost a distrust. Like, you got to prove it. You got to prove it.
You have to prove it. It takes a while. So when we've brought people into our organization or we've acquired some companies, I have heard this multiple times now from people. I do a whole values and culture orientation. We've got a training program. Usually somewhere on the first 6 to 12 months, the people that really want to get on board with it, they'll say something to me like, at first, I didn't know what you all were all about, but now I get it. Now, you've convinced them, you've won them over, they trust you now, and they see that you're serious about it, but I have definitely experienced that where you can tell them and show them and teach them, but they've had such an experience, their guard is up, they're so guarded from the fast, and after a while they'll finally say, okay, like you said, they realize you're authentic and you mean it. Okay, all right, I get it now.
You got to earn it. A lot of them have a hard shell.
Yes. And rightfully so. They've been through a lot. So, it's great too when you can finally crack that shell and see the person underneath. Those are some of the most rewarding things in leadership, I think, is when you can finally break that exterior down and let them be seen, and can be super rewarding.
Yeah, beyond the impact of the company. Lindsay's leading our internal leadership training program now, and the impact that we've seen on people's lives, like, it's so rewarding as business owners and leaders, and that's what I would encourage anybody out there that's running their own business to, there's positives for your business, but the fulfillment that you can get from how you can impact people's lives is incredible. We've heard from people, and we've heard from their spouses or people in their lives that have talked about the change that they've made from that investment. Like you said, no one's ever invested in them before.
You see that so much in the blue collar world, which I think is what's so wonderful about what you're doing is, a lot of these people have never had anyone in their corner, have never had a cheerleader. And so inspiring other leaders, in our industry to do this for others, I mean, it's going to just have an impact on our community as a whole. It's just really, really awesome that you guys are out there leading the charge in this.
Yeah, if you're doing it for the right reasons, it's bigger than your company, bigger than your team. Our world needs this.
Yes.
Our world needs as many people spreading this type character content to as many people as possible. Because, like I told the emerging leaders group earlier today, it's bigger than them. It's bigger than their job. Our world, look out the window at the world. It needs some help. I was inviting them to be one of those leaders. I said 5 out of 130 of you raised your hand, said this is inside your organization.
Yeah.
Take it back, work on yourself, and see if you can spread it inside your organization.
Yeah.
And if you can't, you got to find a new organization.
Yep.
Hey guys, it's Nick from Making Chips. I want to give you 3 quick reasons why you should check out Mike Payne's podcast, By the Numbers. Mike, my good buddy, my partner on Making Chips, is full of wisdom. He's full of experience. He's full of what it takes to buy, sell, and lead a business, specifically a manufacturing business. So all the numbers that you should be focused on to improve your performance, that's what he's the master at. The second reason, Mike's the first person I call. If I'm looking at a new idea, a new partnership opportunity, a new acquisition, any new initiative where I need to dive into the numbers and figure out how to approach it, Mike is who I go to. And third, You gotta love that buttery Tulsa King voice that Mike rocks. It just soothes your soul. It gives you the confidence to elevate your leadership. Jokes aside, if you love making chips, or if you're just passionate about improving your business performance and the financial performance of your company, check out By the Numbers by Making Chips, hosted by my good buddy, Mike Payne.
So for a lot of our audience are business owners and leaders. And so for those leaders out there right now that might be thinking about investing in their team and also thinking about, well, two questions. One, how do they go about identifying people that could be emerging leaders or up and coming leaders or people that could mentor other folks? You know, how would you, we'll start with that question. How might they go about identifying those folks?
So for me, let's say I'm that leader you're talking about. If it's me, I first got to be developing myself so I know what I'm looking for. A lot of leaders don't develop themselves. A lot of times we hear leaders talk about some problems with their team or something. We'll go somewhere like this and speak. Somebody wants to talk later, they'll tell me about this person, right? They tell me all about them, and when they get done and they feel like they understood, I'll say, just curious, what leadership book you happen to be reading at the moment? You know what they usually say? None. They got all these leadership problems. It'd be like if you didn't know how to do math and you decided, well, I ain't gonna study math. I'm just gonna wish I knew how to do math and blame everybody else for not knowing how to do math. But the thing I'd be doing is, our number one thing that our clients do is book studies. But it's way more than a book study. A book study is just a descriptive term, but that ain't, if you're doing it the way like we mentor and coach people to do it, it's just a micro leadership development lesson, or a micro personal development lesson, or a micro culture transformation. It depends on the content, right? But it's a micro lesson in something. So what I like to do, I want to see it, I want to feel it. When we're going through the book study, I want to know who's interested, because I'd be casting the vision. I'd be saying, if you're interested, we're going through this book now. You may read it in advance, especially if you read it in advance. Let me know, because I'm gonna get you another one. Yeah. You read that one, you let me know, because what I'm doing is I'm allowing you to self-identify. I don't know everybody who really values this stuff, but what my job is, I want to make everybody aware of this stuff, being personal growth, leadership development, and I want all of you, whoever you are, that's truly interested, let me know. Like, we got the Blue Collar Leadership podcast, or I do. Ria's got her own. That's something you can do for free. Sometimes I'll tell a leader, they'll be talking about somebody, I'll say, you've been listening to the podcast, and you hear one that resonates with something that's going on, tell them, hey, go listen to episode 75 or 430 or whatever one it is, and say, hey, go listen to this. When you get done, come back and see me. I want to talk to you about it.
Right.
But I got to be involved in it to know who the leaders are. But when you introduce this type of leadership, I always tell the leaders, sometimes the people you think is going to be the most on board, they ain't even interested. And then sometimes the ones you think need it the most and you think they ain't going to be interested at all, they actually the ones who ain't never heard this type of stuff. Like me, I'm one of those people. And then I got exposed to it, transformed my life personally and professionally. And if you ever have one of them, that's the gold nugget. That when you got that person on your team that really, really needs it in their personal life, their professional life, you introduce it, they start transforming themselves. That's the leader of your company right there. Yeah. Doesn't matter if they're driving a forklift or they're sitting in an engineering office behind a desk. Whoever that person is, that's what I always tell people, leaders and individuals. Inside of a company, whoever values this type of content the most, meaning I want to learn it, not because you telling me to, but I'm interested in it authentically, whoever that is the leader of the company. They may or may not be the owner. We hope that it's the owner.
Right.
But a lot of times it's not the owner. It's somebody down the chain.
Yeah, or the leader of that department or what have you. That's something she started doing is with the different training programs we're running. She will keep good notes of who's really engaged, and I'm having her email that to our senior leadership team. You know, and oftentimes these folks, they might report to them or they might report to somebody that reports to them, but she'll send a very nice little summary that says, here's the people that didn't attend, you know, they didn't show up. Here's the people that showed up and were very engaged and asked thoughtful questions. Here's the people that were there they were disengaged. I could clearly tell they were working on other stuff and not paying attention, you know, because just at a minimum, file that away for future, you know, because a lot of people say they want to be managers or leaders until the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
So.
Or when you're going to make those promotion decisions and they get passed up on it, that you can sit down with them and say, hey, you know, we were running this program, you didn't seem super engaged, you know, we need to work through this, or maybe you're not on the right seat on the bus, you know, whatever that is. It's been a great tool because you might think in your head, like you said, that's the person, they're going to be the leader, they're going to be awesome. And then when it comes to, pouring themselves into the training, which is what a good leader will do, they're not doing that. And so, it's not matching up on that end. And it's been a great kind of mid-level, we call it LEAD, is our leadership program. Leadership Exploration and Development is what that stands for. So it's been a great tool to identify who really wants it.
Yeah, like you said, people can opt in.
Yeah.
It allows people to self-select.
Yeah, when you're doing development like that, it's easy. Like some leaders may be listening, they're not doing this. So when you're saying, how can you develop, identify your leaders? The easiest way and the best way is when you're doing leadership development is obvious, right? It's so obvious for you guys when you're engaged in it. Otherwise, you want to share some tips, like, it's the person people trust. If you're not doing leadership development, who's got influence? When you walk into a room of, you got a department with 20 people in it, you walk in as the leader to cast a vision, who's everybody looking at besides you? That's the leader.
I had a very impactful experience about that a few weeks ago. So I do listening sessions where I sit down with various team members without any any leaders between them and me. So it's just me and the frontline folks. I do that once a month. Well, I was sat down on our coatings line at one of our businesses. It was a bunch of Latinos that almost all speak Spanish. So there was an interpreter there. I had brought an interpreter in. And this one lady, she had no formal leadership title or anything. She was just a line worker like everybody else. But they would all talk amongst themselves, and she would always be the one to talk to the interpreter, and the interpreter talked to me. And I leaned over to my assistant, and I said, that's the leader right there. Maria is her name. I said, Maria is our leader.
Yep. It's always Maria.
Maria's the one that was doing all, she was like, she's the spokesperson. By gosh.
She's the leader.
And it got heated. Some of the conversations got really heated, and they were like amongst themselves. They were going back and forth, and I couldn't understand a damn word they were saying. I'm going to learn Spanish. That's one of the things, all joking aside, it's on my to-do list is to learn Spanish. But anyways, I didn't understand it, but they were bickering amongst themselves. But she'd always be the one to deliver the message to me.
Yeah.
So like that's our leader right there.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I downloaded an app for her. I asked her if she'd like to learn English. She said, I'd love to. So I got my credit card out right there, and I downloaded an English app, put it on her phone. And next month when I was back, I checked in with the person she reports to, and I said, any idea if she's been learning English? But I didn't tell anybody I did that. No strings attached. Just here you go. And they said, as a matter of fact, we've heard that she is.
Awesome.
That's phenomenal.
Good.
That's good leadership right there.
So we're keeping an eye on her. She might be a leader. Somebody just shot a t-shirt cannon off over here. The fun of recording a podcast in a conference.
It's all right.
Yeah. Lindsay, you got any questions?
Looking through the questions that we had kind of prepared, one I like, we're actually kind of have experienced this. We've been really into books, really into podcasts. We've had several folks, especially on like our senior leader, that are feeling a little bit of like burnout. Like I've read all the books, I've listened to all the podcasts. What's something that you think is like a fresh perspective on, leadership topics or things that they could look into for a new area of study when it comes to leadership?
Something that's not a book or a podcast?
Well, and it could be a book or podcast, but
maybe just how to engage people when they're feeling
that burnout.
I think it's been, particularly, it's also been like some leadership fatigue in that we've experienced a lot of growing pains lately. So people have been really spread thin, and I think people have felt the perception a little bit like, oh, and I have to do that too, right?
So
You're asking me to do this.
We have a minimum hours that folks need to get. If you're in a leadership position and you're leading folks, managing a P&L in our business,
there's expectation.
We want you at least 10 hours a quarter, which is not a lot. I mean, you think how many hours you spend in the car, probably alone, or working out, whatever you're doing. To me, it's really easy to get 10 hours, but I think some folks are just feeling like
it's one more thing.
So, like, what's something that we can maybe do to, rejuvenate that
energy?
Yes. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, one thing, and then I'll let Mac speak. First and foremost, I love the concept of that expectation, right? Of leadership as a value for us, and if you're going to be on the bus, then this is kind of the requirement, right?
Can I ask a question before she answers real quick? These folks you're talking about, do they just read books and go through podcasts? Are they actually facilitating any development of other people, or are they being facilitated too? Just so the context of what we shared.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's folks that are mid-level, that are senior level.
Yeah, not as much as they can and should be is the answer to your question.
Yeah.
Let's come back to that. There's something there. Go ahead.
So first and foremost, I always like to say we always want the message to be there's nothing wrong with you, right? Michael Josephson's quote, you don't have to be sick to get better.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And because a lot of times people get burnt out, it's one more thing to do and they're busy, right? And so a lot of times it's making sure the message is we just want to help you be successful at home and at work, right? It's not about working harder. It's equipping you with the tools to be more successful in your life. And if people aren't clear on that message, it's easy for them to see the disconnect.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of great leadership resources out there that are called leadership, but they're teaching management. And so a lot of times what we see is people who start to get burned out or tuned out is it's the same old management principles, which are good. You got to have those, but they don't necessarily see how that's helping them have a better life.
Yeah.
So it's when you start to shift the context and the conversation into character development. And again, not in leadership as being a position of authority, but leadership as influence. This is going to help you influence your 15-year-old to make better choices in life. Let's read a book on communication, right? If we don't call it leadership, we call it how do I influence my family better? The perspective shifts a little bit. And I'll let Mac speak to that as well. But
I like what you said about communication and at home and at work, because I think we're seeing that with our folks. We're all in the thick of parenting right now. Our kids are between like 1 and 16, 18 years old. So it's a tough load to carry all that burden at work and at home. And I like when you say, the character building and the influence and how they're not just seeing it as something they're having to do for work. It's helping them outside of work too. That's really great.
Yeah. And I'll let Mac speak to it as well. We always have different perspectives, which is...
The reason I asked that question was, are they more like the student or the teacher? Because a lot of companies do leadership development and they're just teaching stuff. I mean, they bring us in to do that a lot, to teach the stuff. Just like I told the emerging leaders group a minute ago, you can't learn. I said, I can teach you leadership in this room, but you can't learn it in this room. You can read about leadership in a book, but you can't learn leadership because you read a book. You got to go do it, right? There's a difference between learning something and learning about something. And when you're being the student, using these terms, you're just learning about it. That's why I was asking, because if I had a company, everybody in my company would be facilitating book studies. And it don't mean we don't read a book and talk about it. We actually learned, I don't know how much y'all really know about us or stuff we do, but if you're interested in this, let me just say, it's a free thing. You ain't got to sign up. You just go right there and you can see it. It's bluecollarleadership.com/book study training. You'll see testimonials from some of our clients that do it. You'll see a video of an entry-level blue-collar guy from St. Peters, Missouri. He's running a recycling line. He's just an entry-level worker with 10 people on his team. He's not the boss. He's one of the 10. For over 2 years, he's been facilitating 2 book studies a week like we teach in that podcast. And I interviewed him on my Real People Getting Real Results show on the Blue Collar Leadership YouTube channel, episode 11, if you want to go watch somebody. Because he asked me in there, about an hour and a half interview with this guy. He said, Mac, I don't know why you want to interview me. I said, Jim, I know leaders at all different levels and all kind of sizes of companies. They ain't hardly any of them leading their team like you're leading your team, and you're not the boss. Yeah. I said, you're the best example I know of in the country of doing the book studies like we talk about. And so that book study method we learned it in 2013 with John Maxwell. We went there with 150 other people to Guatemala with John. We all paid our expense from all over the country. And we went there, the whole point was to kick off cultural transformation of the entire nation. We got to go to the presidential palace with John and all 150 of us and the president of Guatemala. And they were on live TV, casting the vision for transformation of the nation. And we learned something called a round table. And the way we teach to do a book study are the first 2 components of the 3 for a round table. And it actually leads to personal transformation. Because that's, when you introduce in leadership, like we're talking about character development, which is only, we say character development equals leadership development. If it ain't character development, it's something else. It ain't leadership development. It's because we're talking about how do you lead with authentic influence, not artificial. All I got to do to have artificial influence is raise my hand, accept a position, title, and authority, right? So we got a 45-minute video there, but I'm gonna just give you like a couple of minute snapshot. So let's say we were here, there's 4 of us, that's the minimum. We could be up to 10. We'll have a book. Most of our clients get an audio book to match it so they don't have to read, because a lot of times blue collar folks don't like to read, even if they work in the office, still nervous they're gonna come across a word because they don't have humility. They're insecure, so they're afraid they don't want to not be able to pronounce a word. So we say listen to the audio, follow along in the book, highlight. And we write our books on purpose for that reason. They're 30 chapters, 3 pages each. You read some of them, right?
Yeah.
And one of the reasons they're formatted like that is for this purpose. So now you can cover, the audio is going to take 7 minutes or so to play out 1 chapter. So while we're listening, we can be relaxed. I ain't got to be reading ahead, see what I got to read and word of death about all that. I ain't got to do homework after we're done. I ain't got to prepare if I'm the facilitator. Ain't nobody got to do nothing outside of this 10 or 15 minutes.
Show up.
This is where it happens. And then we get up and we leave. We don't turn it into something else. So we've listened to the audio 7 minutes for this chapter. We've all been highlighting key points. I'm the facilitator. I say, okay, I'll go first. And I got 1 minute, up to a minute. It can be less. I'm going to share my key takeaway, which is the principle. And then I'm going to share why, which is my little micro story of why that resonated with me. And as a facilitator, if I went through that 45-minute training, first of all, if you're on my team, you're going through that 45-minute training too. Beginning with the end in mind from the 7 habits, habit 2, right? I want you to know how to facilitate just as much as I do, because if you know where I'm going, you can help me go there.
Yeah.
And you don't have to question why is he doing things the way he's doing them. So here's my key takeaway. Here's my micro story. And it's got to be from a place of humility. It's about me, about I. It ain't about you or them or they. I just read this and it meant something to me because I got it wrong yesterday with Ria at home. She come in and talked to me. This was about communication, giving somebody your attention. She come in. I was on my computer. She talked to me. I never even turned around and looked at her because I was busy in the moment. She wasn't there long and she left before I stopped and turned around. So relative to this, y'all may think I'm a great communicator, but yesterday I got it wrong at home with the most important person in my life. I screwed up and got it wrong. Maybe I get it right 99 times out of 100, but yesterday I got it wrong.
Yeah.
And then pass to go to Ria. Ria can say pass, I'm gonna say thank you. And it goes to Lindsay. Lindsay could share her key takeaway and she could share the most important thing we think she's ever learned because she needs to learn it and she just got it. She just realized I got an issue with this. And we want to high five her and give her all this. Nothing. Generic. Thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Matthew, you share yours. We get up, we walk away. There ain't no discussion.
Yeah.
There ain't no judgment. There ain't no sports. A lot of people, they read a book, then they talk about what they learned. And I may say, well, that ain't what I got, Matthew. I got this. And you may not like the way that I said that about, because I'm judging what you said.
Yeah.
I may disagree or agree or see it different, but you're being judged. And you may not like me, or you may not like being called out in front of somebody. You may be insecure. So next time we go around, it gets to you. Instead of sharing something, you say pass, and you just get shut down. So the reason it takes 45 minutes to teach what I just shared with you is because you got to make it safe. You got to do it. It's so simple that everybody screws it up, makes it complicated, and then they mess it up.
Yeah.
Because this invites personal transformation. Like when I shared the story, it was just a made up thing right here about Ria. But both of you, Ria, anybody that's sitting at the table, the way it works is you think, oh, my kid come in to me yesterday. I was watching TV. You know, my 4-year-old come in. You don't say this. You just think this.
Mm-hmm.
That's the lesson you needed to get.
Yeah.
You're doing it to your kid with a TV. It ain't got nothing to do with your computer and your wife.
Or so-and-so came in my office yesterday and I did the same thing. You know, I never looked up from my computer. I'm listening.
And so let me share the power, why this is so powerful for personal transformation. If I come in and try to teach you something, try to tell you how to be, first of all, I don't know you. Even if I do know you, I don't know you. We don't know everybody. You don't know her. She don't know you. They stuff you just don't know everything, right? You don't know why are we who we are. And so, but if I come in and try to tell you how to be, our conscious mind listens like this. Who are you to tell me how to be? You know, like if I say, Matthew, I noticed you ain't been listening good. You know, sometimes we talking and you ain't paying attention. That's conscious mind.
Yeah.
You over there listening like this. But when you tell a story and it ain't got nothing to do with anybody else, it's about me or somebody that's not here, your subconscious listens like this. There's something in that story that applies to me. And then what happens when you hear a story, like that room a minute ago, 135 people or 130 people. I didn't teach them this because that ain't what we were there to talk about. But sometimes I do. And I say, I just told you a story. Every one of you just told yourself a story. 135 stories just got told because I shared a story. That's a story you needed to hear. I don't know that story. And even if I did, you don't want to hear it from me. But that's what the book study, the way we teach it, it facilitates these little micro stories. You get the content, you get a principle reinforced, and then you kind of get a little bit of practice. How is it applied? And it's usually from the wrong way because you're speaking from a place of humility and vulnerability. That's what leads to personal transformation. Most companies ain't doing that when they do a book study. Sometimes they don't even read together. They read these 5 chapters we'll talk about on Friday.
That's the way we do it, and we're getting it wrong.
That's okay for transferring knowledge.
Even the idea, the practice, just the idea of them not having to do the work before they get there, after they get there. I mean, just making it a safe space to just say, come, show up, we're going to do it right here.
You don't talk about it. You get up and you leave. You don't turn it into a quality mission. You get up and you leave.
Yeah, I can schedule a call once a week for 7 minutes, and everybody hops on, and we do our 7 minutes.
We'll be 10 to 15
sorry,
with the
15.
talk.
Yes,
yep. 10
but
to 15.
I think that is, I mean,
if you do it this way, Lindsay, it leads to transformation, because when you're introducing the leadership y'all are talking about, we're talking about, you're inviting people to change their values. Mm-hmm. Until they change their values, ain't nothing going to change. Like if I got a bad temper, which I used to have an ugly bad temper, like Chihuahua on acid with a machine gun. Seriously bad, it was ugly. And I'd go from this guy to that guy, just like that, over something that y'all don't even know what just happened. You didn't even see it happen. Mm-hmm. I was such an idiot back in those days. So I got those stories too. But that's the key point, is you're inviting people to change their values. Until they do, nothing's going to change. Like companies that don't do this. I don't know if y'all have always done it or not, but if you hadn't always done it, whenever you started doing it, you changed your values. When your values changed, things started changing. I tell people, when you intentionally change your mind, which is what we invite people to do, your mind will automatically change your life relative to how you changed it.
Yeah.
If you went positive, it's going to automatically make your life more positive. If you go in negative, start hanging with negative people, it's going to go the other way.
We got long answers.
No, that's good. No, real life evidence of that. I heard this on a podcast yesterday, and they were talking about how people are waiting until later in life to have kids, and one of the greatest, and I think it might be the single most, I can't remember the stat that they used, but if it's not the single most, one of the greatest, this is proven, mathematically proven, contributors to increasing your level of income is having kids. It's literally the exact opposite of what everybody thinks. I mean, this is backed up with tons of economic mathematical data. And you would say, well, why is that? It's exactly what you just said. There's a mind shift that happens in there. Obviously, it costs you more money to have kids. That's a known fact as well. But people more than offset that with their income level, because I'm sure it's a basic thing. They start taking their career seriously. They start working on themselves. Maybe I do need to work harder and get that promotion.
They start wanting to be a good example.
I want to be a good example. That's exactly right.
That happened to me. I shifted gears when my son was born, became less of an idiot. Until I discovered this, I didn't really stop being an idiot. For 4 years later, from 08 to 12, I just focused on teaching this stuff to people in the lean teams that I was leading. But in 2012, I realized I got a lot of work to do on me. But it took 4 years of me sharing and teaching with others, and I started getting better. But I shifted like a 180 about 4 years. I quit drinking alcohol in 2012. I don't judge other people. That's the thing I told the room a while ago. I didn't come here to judge you. I ain't got time to be judging you. I got to judge me all day long. And I got lots of work to do. But I quit, it's just my story. I just try to be a good example. Everybody don't want to speak on stage and talk about character. And a lot of them that do don't want to be a good role model. They just want to talk about it. Yeah. But I quit using profanity. And I was a guy, I tell on stage, I used to use, if I said a one-word sentence, it had 2 words of profanity. I don't mean a little profanity. I mean the ugly stuff. I was in the Marines and the infantry and blue collar, frontline. That's what we do.
It was,
We drink real good and have fun. And we party. And I don't care. Everybody can keep doing that. But I'm trying to live to a very high standard, because if I'm not, I ain't living what I'm doing. I don't think anybody out there has got to be like me. They ain't got to do, they can do whatever they want. But what I figured out was, as long as I don't judge folks, they don't care that I don't. They don't care whatsoever, and I don't judge them. And what I figured out, like Jimmy Collins, he's former president and CEO of Chick-fil-A. He's 89 years old. He's been a friend and mentor of mine and Ria's for 10 years. And I guarantee you, if I was the old Mac, he still would have loved me, but he wouldn't have been my friend and mentor for the past 10 years. So when I started working on my character at a super high level, I started attracting people like Jimmy who want to influence me. I mean, he followed me on Facebook still to this day, and LinkedIn, and comments sometime. I'm like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I can still go talk to the blue collar guy that's 20, that's being probably not big idiot as I was, but he's still partying and acting a fool and doing all the stuff that I used to do, and probably still not as bad. I can be his buddy and friend. He can call me, I'll mentor him. All it takes for me to mentor somebody is they got to want to get better. I don't care where they at. I don't care where they at in their life, how terrible it is, how much money they make, and I do it for free. Can I say my phone number?
Yeah.
334-728-4143 is my cell phone right here. You call me the rest of my life. I usually answer within 24 hours. If I ain't busy, I'm going to answer. We're going to talk right now. I talked to one guy from midnight to 5 a.m. He said, I got to go to work. But he wanted to talk. And it was cool. He was from Pittsburgh. And he started his own business coaching. He was a construction guy, but he got into coaching and speaking, and I was just pouring into him. I do it all the time. And I used to get paid up to $750 an hour to do that. And I don't think I've done that since 2015 or 16. I just do it for free. When people talk to me, I want them to know I want to help you have a better life. That's why I'm talking to you. Don't call and talk to me about football and baseball and deer hunting. Call somebody else for that. I ain't got time for that. I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Yeah, really inspiring.
Yeah, it really is. You talked about picking up later in life and wanting to improve, and we were talking about having kids. Just ironically, the first book I ever picked up and read willingly in my life was when our oldest was born. He's 11 now, and he was in the hospital for about a week after he was born. And so, they're caring for him. There's nothing I can do. I'm just sitting around. So I went to Barnes & Noble and I bought a book. And this is so crazy because you were just talking about, it was Leading with Your Legacy in Mind. You just mentioned him, the author. You just mentioned him. John Maxwell.
Oh, yeah.
So coming full circle here. So John Maxwell wrote this book, and it jumped out at me because I just had my first child, and it was Leading with Your Legacy in Mind. I didn't read in high school. I did the bare minimum to get by. I didn't go to college. I picked up that book that day, and I've never put a book down since.
Wow.
11 years later.
Same thing happened to you that happened to me.
Non-stop trying to improve, and I'm still not even close to where I want to be. But when you look back in the rearview mirror and you see how far you've come,
that's
so it's never too late to.
No.
That's a phenomenal story.
Yeah.
I love that. That's fun. And it's raising your level of awareness, right? That's why we want to be intentional with our own growth so we can help others, but it's changing how we think. Because when you change how you think, it changes what you do. It changes the results you get.
Yeah.
So
I want to touch back to your leaders, though, because what I'm trying to say and motivate, inspire you to do, if you like you said, I think you said 10 hours a quarter, which is about an hour a week, right?
Yes, yeah.
And I don't know what they're doing or not doing, and I don't think you probably facilitated a book study like we do, but anybody can do it.
Yeah.
If you got a team of 10 or 6, if everybody goes through the training, it could be, I'm gonna facilitate this week, you're gonna facilitate next week, but still there's no homework or nothing. You got a higher level of learning to happen because you need to watch that and pay attention because you got to facilitate too.
Yeah.
But anybody can do it. And our client, the best results that anybody gets is that. And you're not doing it wrong, Lindsay. You just do it. You're doing something different. It's a whole.
Yeah.
It's like when I read a book, I ain't doing it wrong. I'm covering that content and I'm learning.
Yeah.
But I ain't learning like if I sat here and heard a little micro story from a place of humility and vulnerability. And some people don't have the security to do that, so they just pass, and that's okay. But if you'll facilitate the thing the way that we teach this book study, people who pass the first week or the second week or the third week, somewhere usually between the second and the fourth week, they start sharing.
Yeah.
But you still gotta make it safe, like they feeling it out. And sometimes they may, hardly ever does this happen, but somebody could go through a 30-week program and never share, and that's okay. They're gonna they're hearing every story.
Yeah.
They having all them stories being told, and it's just the most transformational. Like John Maxwell, he's like the top guru in the world.
Yeah.
When he got invited to Guatemala and all of us come to help him, we trained over 20,000 leaders that week on this
Amazing.
process.
Yeah.
And out of all the things he could do, out of all his life, all the things he's seen, to kick off cultural transformation of an entire nation was what I'm
That's
talking to you
truly
about.
just-
And I know it. Still, you got to do it the way that and it's simple.
Yeah. And that's a free resource on your website, you said?
Yeah,
It is.
bluesolidleadership.com/book study training. Anybody,
Okay.
you just click on it. There's a video right there. It takes you to YouTube or somewhere. You ain't got to fill in nothing.
Yeah.
We don't want your email.
Don't spam us.
We do have a free.
We all need it. I'd love to get your spam. So.
Well, we don't do it. We do have a free course called the 5typesofleaders.com. 5, the number 5.
Okay.
And those, you do have to put your information. It's a 2-hour course. You get a downloadable 8-page workbook, fill in the blank, and a certificate of completion. And you had to put your information there only because it's on a paid platform. But that one ain't paid. You don't have to put any credit card or nothing information, just your basic. But we still ain't gonna spam you.
Sure.
You ain't gonna hear. We don't even follow up with clients, Lindsay. You know what we tell our clients? You called us the first time. You're busy.
Yeah.
If you want us back, you can call me 24/7. I'll respond within 24 hours.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Call me whenever you want.
Yeah.
But we don't cold call. And we don't chase clients.
That's a really cool business strategy.
It's just we try
You've
to
been
live.
doing it long enough. Apparently, it's working.
Yeah.
I think it's the lean principle, going slow to go fast.
Yeah.
I mean, we trying to not harass people.
Yeah.
And we're not needy and greedy. We're not super wealthy, but we don't want nothing. I always tell people, if you want to be wealthy in a hurry, especially if you're young, stop wanting all this stuff you can't afford. You be wealthy quick. Real quick.
That message doesn't always get received very well.
Right.
And I got to tell you a story. I don't know if we had to wrap up yet.
Yeah, go ahead.
This one's important, maybe for you personally, for somebody listening. You talked about your children. 2008, when I discovered this stuff, my son was 17. I only had one kid. Everyone only wanted one kid. I was so bad back then, I knew, it's sad to say, but I'm better now, but I don't want any more kids now.
That's good, because we're not having any. I'm just saying.
And Ria never wanted any, so we were set up from the start. I had one, but I always only wanted one because I would have had a favorite. That's just who I was. And I didn't want to do that to however many, the ones that wasn't a favorite.
I have a favorite, but it usually depends like by the minute or the hour or the day.
It's changing.
What's going on?
Yeah, I would have been, it'd been bad for the one that wasn't my favorite. That new dad didn't know how to favorite. But anyway, I only had one, still screwed it up. When I listened to that 7 Habits, that first audio, 2008, Eric was 17. He had hated me since he was 15. He kept hating me till he was 19. But something happened when he was 17. My values started changing. I started valuing personal growth and development. And like you, Matthew, 17 years later now, I've been reading every day since then. So 2 years into that, reading every day, that's a lot of days. And I was reading a lot back then because this stuff was new to me. And I was like, I couldn't get enough. Audios, while I'm driving everywhere, books, videos. And so my mom kept seeing me change. And she kept telling my son, hey, your dad's changing. You need to give him another chance. Your dad's changing. And my transformation was so profound to her that she started reading these books. She needed it too, but I wasn't telling her you need to read them. I didn't figure she would read them. But she started reading them. So then she started changing herself, but she also started to understand what was happening to me. So now she could articulate to Eric better about what was happening to me. And 2 years into that, he gave me a chance. I was on a consulting job out in Texas and hotel. He called me that night and had hated me for 4 years. I'd see him sometime, like at his graduation, I went. He had to put up with me, or, family things here and there, Christmas at my mom's, but there was no relationship that meant anything. But he called, he talked to me for 2 hours because I got habit 5 right. Seek first to understand, then seek first to understand and be understood. And I've been teaching that, talking it with all these Kaizen teams. And that night, I got it right. Yeah. And all he was wanting to do was drop a course at the community college, chemistry. He was wanting to drop it. He was paying for it. And I told him, I said, man, you smart. You already paid for it. This is what I would have told him. I didn't tell him this. You already paid for it. Finish it out, get your grade, and don't take any more chemistry classes. That wouldn't really be bad advice, would it?
No, it doesn't seem like it.
Unless he didn't want it. And see, he hadn't asked for my advice. So I'm just listening. I'm just listening, and he talked himself through it. And I didn't give him any advice. Ultimately, he was just curious. I ain't never going to use this. Why should I want to do it? But after 2 hours, it ended up, I was able to rebuild that relationship so strongly in 2 hours. By the end of it, he was talking about wanting to come work with me as a lean consultant with zero experience.
And he did.
And he did, and he killed it with zero experience. 19 years old, he started lean consulting. He watched me do a 5S event, watched me do a standard work event. Standard work for me was, we teach them about standard work, set up a sale. We'd take batch and queue. On Thursday, we implemented it. We developed a plan, we implemented it, and then Friday, we validated it. It wasn't making a plan, it was changing something.
What's happening?
And then he watched me do a quick changeover event. He just watched. That was the only experience he had in manufacturing, was watching me do that. After that, I was in one state, he's in another state. And the difference was, though, I told him, I said, you got to start reading all these books. And it resonated with him like it did me, probably because I had changed so much. But it resonated with him. He could talk about it. And I told him, when you go in there to facilitate these events, tell them, I'm 19. I don't know nothing about what y'all do. They already know that, Eric.
Yeah.
They need to know you know it, and they'll be all right with it. And then you need to act
Set
like
stage.
that.
Yeah.
And he put up the PowerPoint, walk them through the stuff, and he really was sharp, so he could learn it pretty quick. He could ask all the dumb questions like I always ask, even though I had 20 years experience. And he killed it. They kept him there for 2 years till we started doing this, and then he left when we left.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And and they paid him through me really, really good.
Yeah.
He's made six figures. He's 34 now. He's had 3 different careers, just started his own business, and he's killing it. He's taking all this stuff. And the reason I share that story, because there may be people listening, there could be people on your team. It may not have nothing to do with work, but leaders who make this stuff about work, they ain't gonna get the results of leaders who make this stuff about the people. You make it about the people, they're gonna buy in. And if they work in your company, they're gonna apply it in your company.
Yeah.
But if you make it about the company, then you're trying to use leadership to manage better, so that you're still managing, you're not leading. You got to make it about the people. It can't be about, I think you shared this earlier, I don't know if it's on the podcast, but it can't be about ROI. Because you know it, because you've been reading, and you've been reading.
Yeah.
When you know this stuff, the ROI is, I'm getting to teach this to people, help them have a better life. I know they helping my organization. I know they lifting morale. I know they stopping a bunch of that junk that goes on, especially in the front lines in the blue collar world, where everybody's talking about people behind their back.
Yeah.
You get all that stuff out. But you guys are the most important piece of your puzzle.
Yeah.
And you're
And
modeling
doing it.
Yeah. Thank you.
and you're teaching it.
Yeah.
And the stuff you guys are doing, that's what you got to do. You got to find, who are these people? Like when you go to that book study training link, I hope you or anybody will watch Jim McEwen.
Absolutely.
He's like 60, 65 years old, I think. The man, I watch it fairly often because it fires me up.
Yeah.
He is a leader, like most people, no matter what level, that never lead. But why I'm inviting you to see it is, when you see Jim, anybody in the book studies like we're talking about, anybody can do it. When you identify somebody who's hungry,
There went our cannon again.
T-shirt.
you see somebody who wants to learn this stuff, wants to be in the classes, wants to read the books, you hear about them listen to podcasts on their own, say, hey, how about watch this book study training and facilitate one of these with your team? Let them, that's actually leading.
Yeah.
Managers
Yeah.
of people don't want nothing to do with it.
There's a saying that says one of the best ways to learn something is to teach it.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's what I'm kind of really saying in a roundabout way. Get them to facilitate this way. They have to lead, because I got to model as a facilitator if I want to make it effective.
Yeah.
And whoever models what we teach in that video, meaning humility and vulnerability, whoever does that on the team, that's the leader of that team.
Yeah.
It don't matter about the title.
Yeah, right.
And I would mix it up.
Yeah.
You see, when you get a new employee, you can put them on a team right away.
in
They got a
right away.
voice on
Yeah.
day one.
Yeah.
They get to start hearing and feeling that this company is different on day one.
Yeah. Love that.
And they next book study, they could be, we call them actually BCL lesson, building character-based leaders.
Okay.
But it's hard
Yeah.
to stay at. Everybody knows what book study is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it ain't that normal one.
Right.
Yeah.
Great stuff, guys.
Yeah. So we can find you LinkedIn, YouTube, all the
Absolutely.
places.
BlueCollarLeadership.com is the website. and when you get there, there's a button for if you're looking for speakers or if you're looking for on-site training. You go whichever button, go down through that chain, and there's one actually at the end on the training for self-guided for the hungry people, no matter what level.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of resources. One of them is the book study.
Yeah, wonderful.
Low cost or no cost for how do I do it myself for those people. And we are on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, most all them things.
All of them, yeah.
You're going to see this. LinkedIn is the number one spot, though. Everything goes on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I follow on LinkedIn, and that's a great place to see it all.
And you guys are doing awesome. And I want to just say I'm proud of you,
Thank you.
for being the people that you are. I know y'all building a phenomenal business, and that's awesome. But you're inviting people to live a better life.
Yeah.
That's what I care about.
Yeah.
Business is awesome, but I care about the people, which you guys care about. You're not in my business, you're in your business, right?
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. And you're doing it in a way that most blue collar leaders ain't ever gonna do this right here.
Yeah. Well,
Y'all seeing the fruit from it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. We appreciate you all paving the way, for folks like us to dive into it and giving the free resources, It's a great thing for our industry. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank y'all, and we'll see y'all in Evansville.
Yes.
Yeah.
October.
October 29th.
Yeah, we're excited.
We're having you come speak to the Tri-State Manufacturers Alliance.
Bunch of my people. That's where I'm from, the
your
manufacturing
people.
world.
Yes.
Yeah, we're excited to
Don't
have
mean
you.
they want to hear what I got to say, though.
Yeah, and if you have time, when you come out, maybe we could have you out to see our place. And
Yeah.
How
give
far
you guys
away
a
is it
tour.
from there?
20 minutes or so.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, if our
Yeah.
schedule's open,
Yes.
we'll come in early.
Yeah.
Or stay. Well, we may have to go. May not be able to stay late. We may have to speak in Lexington the next day, I think.
Yeah.
But
Short
yeah,
answer is yes. We can work that out.
Yes.
Yeah, we'd
Wonderful.
love to
Yeah.
have you guys.
Yeah.
I love touring manufacturing places. Anybody listening? If I'm ever in your city, all you gotta do is invite me.
Yeah.
I love seeing it. I like going through to the expo at this place.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Really
unbelievable,
cool.
all
Yeah,
the stuff
really
out there.
neat. Yeah.
I'd hate to be y'all walking through there because
We
you
want
want
it
all
all.
that stuff.
Oh yeah. I came to one of these shows the last time, and I brought our CFO with me. I said, you're just going to walk alongside me, and this
Smack his hand every time he
makes
wants to
this
get the checkbook out.
easier.
Look like that guy that always pulling the football coach back on the
Yeah.
sideline.
Yeah.
That's what you had him doing.
That's true. It's,
Good stuff. Well, thank you guys. So the way we officially sign off our podcast, guys, if we're not making sparks,
We're not making money.
that's
You
right.
ain't making spark, you ain't making money.
Nope.
I like it. That's true, ain't it?
It's true.
Very
That ain't just a tagline. That's true.